Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from the pages of Today's Homeowner magazine and professional remodeler Danny Lipford.
Now, being a remodeler, this is the stage in a remodeling project that really starts getting exciting when all the final details start coming together. Now, this project has included adding approximately 700 square feet to the rear of the house, creating a very nice master bedroom for the homeowners, as well as the enlargement of the existing den, breakfast area, and kitchen. Now, many of the details that we're involved in now are the same type of things you have on your to-do list around your house, such as the upgrade of your doorknobs and door hardware, closet hardware, as well as an upgrade of your electrical devices. We'll take a look at all of that, as well as the installation of carpet and pad and some nice interior wood columns that'll go in this area. Stay with us. We've got a great show for you. Welcome back. If you remember last week, we were installing a hardwood floor throughout the majority of the house. Now, with this type of hardwood floor, which is a floating hardwood floor, as well as most other hardwood floors, it's suggested that you leave a small gap against the wall all the way around the room. This allows for a little expansion and contraction that's bound to happen with any type of hardwood. Now, of course, this leaves an unsightly gap there. In order to cover that, we're using a shoe molding. Now, the shoe molding we're using here is a very standard type of molding. This is also available in a quarter round that's a little wider in case the gap that you have is wider than this type of molding will cover. Now, of course, the molding we're using in this particular case is a painted shoe molding, and the painter was able to put a primer coat of one coat on, and then he applied a finish coat of paint and allowed it to dry. Now, Lee is using an air nailer that really makes this job go quick. The process of installing shoe molding starts with accurate measurements. A trim carpenter will usually write down several of the measurements to reduce the number of trips to the miter saw. The use of a motorized miter saw not only saves time, but provides a high degree of accuracy in your cuts. Now, attaching the shoe molding to the wall is very important to secure it tightly with plenty of nails. The air nailer allows you to recess the nail slightly so that the painter will be able to putty over the nail heads later. Now, if you don't have an air nailer as part of your assortment of tools, you may consider renting one from the rental store if you have a large quantity of shoe molding to install. They only cost $100 or less per day. May well be worth it if you have a fair amount to install. But if you have a small quantity, say one room, the hammer and the nail set still works just fine. Now, generally you'll use a nail that's a 6-penny or 4-penny nail and a fairly small hammer, say a 12-ounce or 16-ounce hammer. Then the nail set is used to recess that nail slightly, so again the painter would be able to putty over this prior to putting the last coat of paint on. Now, we're using painted shoe molding in this area of the house because all of the baseboards are painted. In other areas we have stained baseboard, so we're using stained shoe molding. Now, they're in the process of installing the first of 4 interior wood columns we'll have in this room, which we're calling the parlor or reading room. They have their base positioned on the finished floor, and they're able to bring the wood column in after it's been cut real accurately and slide it into place. Now, this will be just positioned loosely like it is now until we get the final decision from the homeowners exactly where they want it. We found a long time ago that many times a homeowner has a hard time deciding exactly on the positioning of the columns, but by pre-assembling them like this, we're able to move them around a little bit before we permanently attach them to the floor or to the ceiling. But now, cutting this accurately is very important. It's probably a good example of the statement, measure twice and cut once. What they do is they come in their measurements and use both the base and the cap on top in position to measure the different points the columns will go. Now, since we have 4 different columns, we're really taking 4 different measurements because there could be a slight difference in the distance between the floor and the ceiling in the 4 different areas. Now, they'll use a regular circular saw to cut the column. Then they're able to attach the cap to the column by pre-drilling some holes, using some nails and adhesive to tie this together. Then they're able to bring it in and assemble it like they have here. Now, as I said, it's very important to make some good accurate cuts on this because If you cut it too short, it's hard to make up any of that distance. Now stay with us. Next is our simple solution.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and home repair pro Alan Lyle show you this week's simple solution.
You know, many times on Simple Solutions, we try to show you different ways of properly maintaining your home.
That's right, Danny. What I've got here is a situation pretty common for a lot of homeowners. They planted some shrubs right outside the air conditioning unit. Looks really good, also helps to deaden the noise. But if you don't maintain the shrubs, they can affect the unit itself. So what I've done is I've cleared a path here, a good 12 to 18 inches away, as suggested by the manufacturer. Also, if you look right at the bottom here, we've got a lot of debris, some leaves, dirt, what have you. What I'm going to do is spray that down. If you'll be careful, Danny, I don't want to spray you here. Take the water hose, and we're just going to wash that down to a point where we can come back in and pull out the excess leaves.
Now, most people realize that your air conditioning works by removing the water and humidity from the home and allowing it to move to the outside. That drain line that moves that water out is very important to maintain as well.
The drain line attaches to the air handling unit where all the excess moisture will travel to the outside of the house. Now, to keep the drain line free of any type of buildup, take a cup of bleach and pour into the line at least twice a year.
Now, you might be amazed at how much water actually comes out of a condensation drain line, and to keep that from damaging your foundation in any way, we've dug a hole like this, about a foot deep, and then put in the gravel so that when the water comes out of the condensation line, it'll move a safe distance away from the foundation. Now, many times this drain line will be at ground level, and I've even seen it below ground level before. Now, this can really cause you some problems and really creates even more of a need to use a gravel drain pit like this. Now, these few simple tips can really make a big difference in the efficiency of your air conditioning and also make that equipment last a lot longer. We're here in the bathroom that's adjacent to the kitchen, and very little work has been done in this bathroom other than a good paint job and the replacement of one of the original windows. Now, the original window that was positioned here was a double hung type of aluminum window that was single pane, not very efficient at all. So we replaced it with a good, efficient, double pane fixed Octagon window. Still gives you plenty of light, but insulates you from the outside much better than the original window. But one thing it doesn't allow you to do is to ventilate this bathroom. The other window would allow you to get a little air in here, but with the fixed one, we had to compensate for that by installing a bath exhaust fan. Now, to install the fan, the electrician was brought in, and he used a screwdriver to probe the attic area to make sure we have enough room between the ceiling joist for the housing. Then he used the actual housing to draw out the size hole that he needed. Then, using a drywall saw, he cut out that hole so that he could install the actual housing. Then he was able to just position the little pre-finished trim over it at the ceiling level. Now, we always recommend anytime you install a fixture like this is to allow a qualified electrician to actually connect to the circuitry of the house. This is a very important aspect of it. It can be dangerous if you really don't know what you're doing. Also, the proper sizing and purchase of the exhaust fan for the proper CFM usage. That is cubic feet per minute. If you get too small of a fan, it's really not going to do the job that you really need. A little oversized is not a bad idea. Another thing that the electricians were able to do while they were on the job is upgrade many of the electrical devices such as switches, outlets, and also during that he replaced many of the outlets as needed and as code required with GFIs or ground fault interrupters. Many of these areas include the garage, bathroom, and kitchen area. Now, speaking of the kitchen, he was very busy in there earlier with installing the electric oven as well as the garbage disposal and the dishwasher. Now, one of the things in a house, when we're talking about upgrading and modernizing a house, one of the things that really date a house, and this one's about 30 years old, are the old doorknobs. Let's change out a few of those. Now, you can see the lock that Vince is replacing here is an antique brass finished lock. It's not really attractive at all, and it's a little bit loose, so we'll be replacing that. with a lever type lock with a brass finish. Quite an upgrade from the antique brass. Now when you're buying locks like this, one of the first things you want to do is buy a good quality lock. You'll be using them for a long time. They'll last a lot longer if you buy a good quality one. Also, there's several different types of locks that are used in every house. Now if you're buying a lock, say for a pantry door like we have here, that you'd never really have any reason to lock it, you would use what we call a passage lock that would allow it to latch but would not lock. Now in a situation where you'd have a bedroom or a bathroom like we were just in, you'd want to be able to lock it, and you see this one here has the little locking mechanism on it so that you can lock yourself in that room. Now the one that Vince will be installing here on the back door is a entry lock, much like any type of front door or back door, with the key on it here. That way, for a little extra security for the homeowners, we can install this here and they can use this as an entryway by using their key. Now while Vince is installing that lock, I'll show you what's taking place in the master bedroom closet. Now there's a number of ways to handle shelving and closet rods in a master closet like this. I've always preferred the nice wooden shelving, 16 inches wide, has a good smooth finish on it. Also the angle brackets like these are good and sturdy. Not only do they support the shelving itself, but also has a great low place for the rod. Now the chrome finish expandable rod like this will just sit right up there and expand out to whatever length that you need, and they're available in several different sizes. And one of the things that you want to make sure on when you're installing these is that you're installing them into a good surface, such as the wooden cleats that we've installed on the wall here. I've seen a lot of people that install them on just the drywall themselves and they really won't hold up at all. Now once George installs the screws on this end, he'll come down and install them on this end. After that, he'll be able to come down on this end of the closet, put one rod here as well as one rod here, making good use of this space by putting the double rod. We'll also do the same thing on the opposite end of the closet, really providing a lot of lineal footage of rod space, which is what everybody needs in their closet. Next, stay with us for our best new product of the week.
It's time to check out the Home Center for this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine's Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring.
Well, Paul, home security is a big concern for a lot of homeowners these days, and I see that you've picked one of Honeywell systems for a best new product.
We did, Danny, and one of the reasons is it's wireless. It means it's very easy to install. There's no hard wiring. You're not having to drill holes, run the wire, and that kind of thing, because each sensor has a little transmitter that gets back to home base, which is down here.
Now the wireless system like this really allows you to take the adhesive off the back of these contacts, put it on either a door or a window, and then the small wire actually plugs into the transmitters and sends the signals back to the main unit.
In addition to that, Danny, you've got plug-in lamp modules. You've got a keychain that allows you to activate it going in and inside or outside the house. And there are other accessories you can purchase, a smoke alarm, broken glass alarm, many other things.
Now what about the voice activation aspect of this?
Well, that's a part of it that's really useful. First of all, it'll take you through the installation steps. In addition to that, though, it is an automatic phone dialer that will call and tell you if there's a problem and tell you what that problem is.
Okay, what about the mode that allows you to kind of check on those children a little bit?
Well, that's one a lot of people like, which is when they have a latchkey kid that has to come home at, say, 3:30 in the afternoon and you're not home. This will let you know if they don't come home, because if they don't punch in that security code, then there's a problem and you're notified of it.
Well, I can see why this was chosen as a best new product. Welcome back. If you remember a couple weeks ago, we were here in the master bathroom talking about how we were going to use a wooden frame to go around the mirrors that we had installed on the walls. Well, the trim carpenter got a great start on that today, and what he's used here is just simple pine fluted molding and then a little rosette in the corner to make this frame. But to support it, he's used a piece of lattice molding that he ran all the way around the perimeter of it, and he nailed it as well as glued this together on the back side of the frame. Now this not only will support the frame, but also it provides a 1/4 inch offset that we need to go around the mirror so that the frame will fit tight against the wall. Now of course the painter has to come back in after this is installed and do a little sanding and put that final coat of paint on it. But to give you an idea of what it'll look like and how it'll sit right over the framework there, you can see how it really dresses up that fairly simple looking mirror. Also, I think the electrician did a good job in putting the light fixture in the mirror itself. We had to plan this ahead so that the mirror contractor could actually cut the hole for us, because it's real difficult to cut any mirror out on the job. Now that this is done, you can see the good light reflection that the light fixture provides and the classy look we have now that it's all framed out. Now this will make a big difference in this bathroom, and it'll be a nice looking bathroom we'll be able to show you the next time we visit this job. But next, let's take a look at the beginning of the process of the installation of the carpet in the master bedroom. Now the bedrooms in this house are one of the few areas where we're installing carpet, and the carpet installers were here this morning. They got a great start installing their pad as well as their tack strip. Now the wooden tack strip is just a real simple piece of wood with little grip nails that come up through it, as well as some nails to nail it down and secure it to the slab. Now they install this, leaving about a 3/4 inch space between the wall and the strip itself. Then they're able to roll out all of their padding and tape it together, and they're ready for the carpet. Now when you're selecting pad like this for just standard residential use, usually 1/2 inch is thick enough. If you're planning on possibly using it for a home office, you may want to go to a 1/4 inch dense pad. This allows you to roll that office chair around a little bit easier. Also, keep this in mind. If one of the members of your family may be in a wheelchair, you may want to eliminate the pad altogether as well as the tack strip and glue the carpet straight down to the slab. This will make it a lot easier for that wheelchair to roll around. Now we have an unusual situation here in that the carpet that originally was in this house was in great shape. We rolled it up and saved it during the early part of the renovation, and they're reinstalling it here. Reusing existing carpeting can make good economic sense, but there's several factors you have to consider. First of all, make sure you have enough carpet for the new area where it'll be installed. Secondly, make sure it's a good quality carpet and in pretty good condition, not many stains, and the backing in real good shape. Now when you're removing it early in your project, roll it up tightly, wrap plastic around it to protect it from moisture and dirt, and then the day before you're to reinstall it, like we've done here, roll it out so that it really flattens out. Then once it's installed, you may want to call that carpet cleaner so that it really looks new.
Now for a bit of news from the great outdoors as Danny takes a look around the yard.
Now you can grow wildflowers like these, aster, baby's breath, and many others in your own backyard by using wildflower mixes that are available at nurseries, garden centers, and through mail order catalogs. It's very important to prepare the soil well. Start with a clean seed bed by clearing weeds and grasses that might compete with the wildflowers. Then rake or till the soil to a depth of at least 1 inch. Then combine the seeds with sand to aid in even distribution over your site, blending about 4 parts sand with 1 part seed. Then you can broadcast the seed as uniformly as possible over the prepared area. Press the seed into the soil by walking over the newly planted area, but do not cover the seeds any deeper than 1/16 of an inch. If your timing is right and you've planted during the rainy season, you can wait for the rain to sprout the seeds. Without rain, you need to water the area regularly to keep it good and moist until the seedlings are up and growing. Well, as you can see, we've gotten a great start on forming up the concrete driveway. And with all the good weather we have, we'll be able to pour it first thing in the morning. After that, we'll let it cure for a few days before we allow any vehicles to drive on it. Now, when we visit this job next in a few weeks, it'll be completed. Our homeowners will be living in the house, and we'll talk with the homeowners about the remodeling experience. Now, I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the details that are involved in completing a project like this, so that next time you have a few of these jobs around your house, we've given you some good, useful information.